All right, listen to this. This is the most important statement you will ever hear about health. Defects in cellular and intracellular membranes. Defects in membranes are characteristic of all chronic medical conditions, including cancer and normal process such as aging. It's all about the membranes and protecting the contents inside that membrane. All right, stay with me on this one. This is the most important thing you'll ever hear in your life. Bacteria in our body, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands of species, create ribosomes, which are the tiniest little ball you can imagine. Millions of those can fit in one single human cell. And they do chemistry that is incredible. We are damaged with our bacteria in our bodies right now. And nobody knows what is the right bacteria and what isn't the right bacteria. However, they do know that if you take bacteria that's in a very healthy person, their gut bacteria, and you put that same gut bacteria into a person that's unhealthy, they will become healthy. I'm going to show you this, and we need to get to the federal government, to JFK Jr. there or whoever, and we need to get this done. I'm sorry, RFK Jr. But this got to be changed. This has got to be changed. All right, they know there's two different types of this MS, which one of them is very aggressive and one of them is not as aggressive. But the underlying cause, nobody understands. However, they have associated to these proteins. And I'm seeing every day a new protein has been found. Oh, this is better than Ozempic, and this does this, and this protein does that. They need to put this all together and replace the proteins that are in people's bodies, in their guts. And those proteins are created by bacteria. So what does that mean? You have to replace the bacteria. This is how sophisticated these little ribosomes are. And they are tiny, and they flood your system. They flood your whole body. And if you don't have the bacteria in your body to squirt it out enough, you're going to be sick. You're not going to be able to produce the product that enzyme produces. It either breaks something down or it builds something up. They do both. And their enzymes and proteins, same thing. Basically, they're both little program packages. They come in the ribosomes, they get triggered for whatever reason, the sheath pops open, and if it's an enzyme, it's very sophisticated and very, it tears things to shreds. And if it's a protein, it builds things like myelin sheathing. Now don't forget, 100% of chronic illness involves membranes. Membranes that surround the cell, membranes that surround an organ. Membranes separate one layer of tissue from the next layer. And cancer and every other type of disease wants to break through that membrane, get inside here and live inside of our body and eat all this stuff up and turn into a big glob. That's what cancer does, and that's what the other invaders do. They create holes in these membranes, and then the organ that's on the other side of it is in trouble, or the cells themselves. You can have all kinds of different cancers, and every cancer and every different type of disease, chronic disease, is because you don't have the correct enzyme to do that chemistry, to make either the breakdown of the stuff that you need or build stuff up as a protein. They're both from the same source, ribosomes. You see this? Ribosomes are the essential cellular machine that synthesizes making proteins. Ribosomes make the proteins. I just showed you ribosomes create enzymes and they create proteins. Same thing, no difference. No, I can make it really complicated and I can make it really simple. I go for simple. We know things have to get in and out of that cell. It just has to happen. And they do it through these protein channels. Protein is an enzyme. All right, so I can't tell you hard enough. The proteins are basically enzymes, and they have to be maintained. They build your body. They do all kinds of stuff. And if you don't have them, you're not going to have that myelin sheath. It's made out of proteins. All of these sheathings are made out of proteins. And there's going to be a certain type of bacteria that creates a certain type of ribosome that creates a certain type of protein that's called myelin sheathing. All right, please pay attention somewhere down in Washington. The myelin sheath is a sleeve that's wrapped around each nerve cell to protect them. It's a protective layer of fat, lipids, and protein. The only way you get that protein is from an enzyme. And the only way you get the enzyme is from a ribosome. The only way you get the ribosome is from the original source, which is the bacteria. Now it coats the main body section of the neuron called the axon. When these go bad, you get this MS and every other disease. Just so you don't forget, defects in the cellular membranes, characteristics of all chronic medical conditions. All right, we're back on MS. And these are myelin sheathing that's let the thing break through. Now, this type of coating is going to be somewhat different than the coating around arteries or the coating around something else. There's a certain protein, a certain bacteria has to create a certain protein that protects this exact type of tissue. And there'll be other ones that protect your lungs and your heart and your kidneys and everything else. That's why there's so many different diseases. Every cancer is like 200 cancers. So you can get cancer of almost anything because the protector of that certain thing, the bacteria is not there to create the enzyme, so there's no enzyme, so there's no protection. It's all related to the bottom. Start at the bacteria. We got to find out about the bacteria. You see this? They know that there's certain bacteria that you need. They're beneficial. You need them in there to digest your foods and do all the things that you have to have happen. And then there's some very harmful ones. Now, C. difficile is the one that they authorize what's called a fecal matter transplant, where you receive new bacteria from a donor. So you get flushed with new bacteria in here, and it starts to grow, and it kills that condition. And that's almost the only way you can get rid of this. It's extremely dangerous when it proliferates following a course of antibiotics. Everybody gets antibiotics sooner or later. I had it, and then I had to have surgery twice from having antibiotics just for a root canal. They never said a word about, take these, you'll be fine. No. I was not fine, and doctors need to understand this more, because when they're given the fecal matter transplant for C. difficile, they're also finding, holy smoke, the guy recovered from Alzheimer's. The guy's recovering from multiple sclerosis. Right across the board, 100%. Everything I can look up, it says fecal matter transplant is good for these things. It's not dangerous. They haven't found any dangers to it to speak of at all, and it's illegal. It's absolutely crazy. All right, this is the National Institute of Health. Multiple sclerosis patients undergoing fecal microbiota transplant, which stood the test of time, the longest follow-up showing remission even after 15 years with no side effects. They were cured, basically. And this is very distressing. It's not allowed. Even for autism, same thing. This is the National Center for Biological Information, National Institute of Health. Potential role of FMT in reversal or stabilization of multiple sclerosis. A literature review, efficacy and safety. Did it work, and is it safe? they have found, yes, it did work and it is safe. Our findings suggest that all 15 patients who received FMT experienced improved and reversed neurological symptoms after the secondary to MS. Improvement was sustained even in follow-up years with no adverse effects observed. These results indicate that FMT may hold promise as a treatment option for multiple sclerosis, although further research is necessary. This is a couple of years ago. Can't they do this research? Why is this a problem? There was a place that was going to do the fecal matter transplants, and the government made it so hard they finally shut down because they had the paperwork was too much. They said there's nothing wrong with the product. The product is perfect. It's going to help millions of people. But the government made it so rigorous that they finally had to shut down. Yeah, the last I knew they shut down. This says Open Biome has ceased investigation of FMT distribution due to FDA decision to end enforcement discretion. I don't know what this means, but I know they finally gave up. And the only thing they make it for is recurrent C. difficile, which is basically the only way you can treat it. But at the same time, they found out everybody else was getting healthy from all of their other conditions being treated for the C. difficile. Here's another one, effective fecal matter transplant in children with autism. Compared with the baseline, fecal matter transplant significantly improved symptoms of autism in children. Now they need more observational studies. Here's right here. This is FMT for treating Alzheimer's. Numerous studies shown FMT can improve Alzheimer's disease. Frequent fecal microbiota transplant improved cognition. Oral fecal microbiota feasibility study in Alzheimer's. They say now you can take it orally with these pills, and it will do it. Before you had to do it gastrointestinal, like a colonoscopy. But this is for everything, virtually for everything. Here it is right here, London Health Centre. Inside a cancer researcher lab, unlocking the gut microbiome potential in the fight against cancer. And it's 100% of the cancers, because 100% of the cancers involve breakthrough of the membranes. They even found that it's helping in peanut allergies and food allergies with kids. If they can't work with what's going into their body, they don't have the digestive ability, it's going to either damage them or it's just going to go right through. And in the case of peanuts and so forth, the kids, they eat them and they die. All right, one more time. Damage to these membranes are characteristics of all chronic medical conditions, every single one, 100%. And we know for a fact that the ribosomes that are produced by bacteria are the only thing that can create these enzymes. And they come out and they float around, free floating through your body. They collect in the rough endoplasmic reticulum in the cells, but there's millions of them, even in each cell. And they can create these enzymes and proteins. Now, they're finding that as if you have the right bacteria in your gut, with a fecal matter transplant, getting somebody's good bacteria inside of you, and it starts growing, you're done. It's all over. No more pills, no nothing. I hate to feel that could be the reason why we're getting nowhere with this, because this is so obvious. It's just unbelievable. And I've been tracking this now for about 6-7 years, really deeply, because I work with a group in Ireland, Northern Ireland, that we've literally reversed a kid from autism, turned him to nonverbal. He was going to be put in a locked ward by using the right enzymes, because you can't do the fecal matter transplant over there either. They won't let you do it. So we had to figure out what enzymes to give them, and soil-based bacteria seem to have the right stuff, but it's got to be taken 4 times a day, because it uses up these enzymes very, very quickly. They're doing their job, but they're doing it, in massive scales, because more of us is bacteria than is us. There's so much bacteria, and even in your poop, half of the poop is actual bacteria. The bacteria is doing so much work in us. It's unbelievable. So in order to supplement it, you have to be, over and over and over and over, and keep putting it in like 4 times a day. That's crazy. If the bacteria was living in there from a fecal matter transplant, you're done. And then you might break your arm or whatever, get sick here or there. But these general chronic illnesses, even like long COVID, all of that, long anything, is attributed to bacteria. It's a bacterial issue. 100%. Because it's going to be an enzyme. And now we're eating food that includes stuff in that food that kills weeds. And that's weed killer. We're eating that. I believe it's killing the bacteria in us. Even CAT scans. CAT scans either kill bacteria or break up the enzymes, because they can cause gut distress as well. There's so much that they don't realize that they're doing, and they're not understanding that this is the key to health, is bacteria, having the right bacteria. And you have to have a certain balance. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the same for everybody, but there's going to be some major components here that when you take it from a person that's 100% healthy, they have no issues whatsoever, that's going to help you. I mean, it's so obvious now. It's distressing to think that our government is not looking at this. Extremely distressing. All right, I love you all.